Good, then let's dive right in. I make some notes, right? So you see me typing.
Perfect.
And so yeah, let's start. Before I talk about the dreams, I ask about the challenges because sometimes they give us a bit more clarity, right, on our dreams. So it doesn't need to, if maybe you don't have any, but if you have any challenges at the moment, you can, just whatever comes up, you can start talking about them.
Yeah. There's two types of challenges. One is my inner challenges, and the other is within the world. Because like my vision and my goal is about creating a better world. And so when you sometimes go talk to people and go look to influence people to improve their lives, sometimes people don't want that. And so that's a problem that I face is just being very good at really being able to help other people see and understand
Hmm.
um, why it would be in their best interest as well to change. And then for me, it's more of it's having the patience to see the vision through. I have the patience, but it still is, uh, I still have inner conflict of like wanting things to go faster. Yeah, I would say that's the problem that I face, being patient.
I have the same. I know this very well.
Cool, cool.
Good. Anything else?
Um, hey Jess. Okay, Oliver's asking us about, we're gonna get into the vision, but he's asking us first what problems that we face. And I was saying the problem of the world not wanting to wake up and navigating that, as well as internally being patient to uh see our vision through. So what do you
Yeah,
notice, Jessica?
that's really good. I'd say for me, that's probably one of the biggest points that I've had to support myself with in this process
Mhm.
is being patient with other people because well, both Mitchell and I are the type of people that if we see something make sense with common sense, we like to apply it very rapidly and move very fast. And also, we like to build very fast, right? Like, we started our relationship a little over 3 years ago. Not even actually, was it almost 3 years now? And
Mm-hmm.
we have already built so much so fast, but yet we have so many other things planned. And it's like, we don't want to wait for our comfort. It's like we're always willing to be uncomfortable to seek out our vision. And so for me, when I see people who aren't willing to be uncomfortable, I had to really develop patience for them because, you know, you can say as much as you want and you can try and make someone move themselves as much as you want, but at the end of the day they have to be the ones to move themselves. So yeah, that's probably been the biggest firewall that I've faced personally, is developing that patience with other people. And then um also we have to deal with time and physical reality, right? So even if we have this in our mind that we want to build these things super fast, like we have to deal with like physically what makes sense. So for example, one of the things that I work on in the relationship is the estate that we're building out in the homestead. And I have this huge vision for the homestead, like, you know all the different kinds of animals. Like, okay, so one of the newest developments is I want to get a milking cow, and I want to milk the cow to get our own raw milk and make cheeses and all these things. But it's like, okay, but we have to deal with physical reality. Like, I have an infant to take care of and all the other tasks that I already have. And so we have to like figure out, does it actually physically make sense? Is it possible for me to take care of a cow right now? You know what I mean? And so I'd say that's another big firewall, is like physical reality, like dealing with physical reality, and then the patience point. So those are the two that
Okay,
I
okay.
brought up.
If I could put it in an analogy,
Mhm.
it would be like uh it's like like our vision and what we're here to do is like giving birth to the most amazing life form. But it's like no matter how good you are at giving birth, it still takes 9 months and there's still some physical stuff you got to go through.
That's a
But
good
it's
one.
both
Yeah.
it's both physical, it's like the body, like the contractions in the body and all that, and it's kind of intense. But
Mhm.
also then inside, it's like imagine there are walls of fire. It's like a maze made out of fire. And if you're not careful, you get burned. And so it's like these different or you ever see Mission Impossible? Or those movies where they're like trying to go into an art museum and there's like lasers everywhere. And
Yeah.
if they touch the laser, it's like beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
That's also what we're dealing with. So it's both physical and in our mind. It's like if you're pushing too hard, it'll set off the lasers and then
Yeah.
it's like it like locks up. So,
Yeah, and it's like it's usually always on the side of too far, too fast, and not usually ever on the side of like too slow, too comfortable. It's like always on the side of like wanting to do more, but sometimes we gotta check in with reality before we do too much.
Yeah. I know this so well. I'm also an entrepreneur right now. I have so much energy, so many ideas, so many things I want to do. But in the end of the day, I also have to sleep. I have to eat. And like these physical limitations we have. And it's like, and we just have this amount of time per day. Even if we are super productive, right? And we use the time really well, we still at one point need to go to sleep. And so, yeah, the patient thing, I get this totally.
yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And do you want to add anything else to the challenges, or do you think we can go towards the dreams?
From our perspective, I think that's sufficient.
Yeah, I'd say the only other thing is the world's challenges, like life's challenges as a whole, is also our challenge. So, say I may not be personally as an individual dealing with something, but collectively we may be dealing with something. Like we're the type of people to take that on, take the responsibility of that, even though we personally aren't dealing with it. And so I'd say the world's challenges are also our challenges that we are willing to take on for ourselves.
Yeah, and it also affects, I mean, we can do really well, like not watching the news and everything, but in the end, it still kind of affects us, right? We are not isolated.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we can go to the dream if you're good. We don't have too much time, right? Usually I take 1 hour, but even if we need to cut short, maybe we can talk on Facebook or something. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, then tell me about your dreams, whatever comes first to your mind, your big dreams and your vision, what you're working on.
Yes. Okay. I'll go first, Jess, and then you can fill in wherever I miss. So, I mean, this, like the biggest way of looking at it would be like, imagine every last human being on planet Earth is really smart, really confident, really capable, really living as their best self. And then we're all experiencing that collectively. So like imagine a world where no child has to go to bed hungry. Every child can pick up any book, learn any language, communicate with everyone. They're stable, they're clear. And everyone's still going to be very unique. Like Jessica is still going to have her own unique expression. You're still going to have all of your gifts, Oliver. I'm going to have mine, but it's all of us working together as a team. And then we can really uncover something new. With that, though, that also involves us. So one is getting everyone educated, being aware of how they think, how they can create, how they can manifest their reality. So that's part one, is the education. Then part two is that building the community, shifting the culture, and then being able to have a huge influence, including political influence. So imagine if everyone in the European Union, all the prime ministers, everyone in parliament, everyone here in the US, and the Senate, the Congress, everyone like that was also on the same page. And we may not agree on every last thing, but in general, we're able to have real conversations, and it's not just about money and power and control. It's about empowerment, education. And so that's the second phase, is that cultural shift and the shift in politics. And then the ultimate thing that we know we got to change is the money system. And this is really, really big, because right now we live in a debt-based system. We have something called the Federal Reserve and the International Monetary Fund. And right now they're printing the money and then they're loaning out that money. And so it's a debt-based system, and most people don't see this. And so imagine a world, though, where we have a creative-based system. So we still use money, but everyone has enough money as a baseline, and so everyone's covered. So no matter where you're born, if you were a random child born in Ukraine right now, or in the middle of Africa or Mongolia or wherever, you at least have enough money and a basic shelter, and you're taken care of, so you don't have to worry about your survival. But if you want to go get a Ferrari or go buy really nice things or have really nice clothes or travel, you got to go earn that. But every child is at least born and taken care of. So it's really the long-term goal is change the money system. It may not be the most shiny, glamorous thing, but it's the most important thing, because unless we change the money system, we're going to revert back to this, and we're still going to have wars for profit. And we're going to have, people profiting off of, sex trafficking and child labor and all this bullshit. And so that's the really, really big vision. And then for me and for Jessica is us to be leaders in that community to empower other leaders. Because we don't want to have a world where there's gurus or heroes or leaders or whatever. Yes, there is a time and place for someone to be a leader and support. But at the end of the day, it's everybody can be their best version of themselves, not just a few people doing that. So that's the vision. How about you, Jess?
Powerful.
Yeah, good. There's like some, obviously we could go in depth on details, right? Like some of the things that I see is within the beauty industry, right? Like all the makeup and, like face washes and creams and shampoos and conditioners and lotions and all these things. Like if you look at the ingredients in those items, like it's not cool. It's not good. Like you're literally like putting shit. You're putting shit on your skin. You're putting all these chemicals and all this stuff that's not actually at all supposed to be put on your skin. And you're just ultimately creating a toxic environment for yourself, because your skin is your largest organ and it absorbs everything that you put on it. And so like that's one thing, is like the realization of real skincare, real toiletries, beauty products, whatever you want to call it, that is actually supportive based on what our body physically needs and not what is going to sell the most, what's the easiest to produce, like not based on that. And then finding a way to produce it that is not destructive to the environment too, so it's like considering all life within all the products that we make. So that also includes like clothes, our clothes that we wear, like making it in a very holistic way that it's not tampering the environment, and it's also conducive to, like, it's on our skin all day long. So are these fabrics full of chemicals as well, like bleached or whatever, because your skin is going to absorb that. And then so like looking holistically at all the things that we produce, it through the eyes of, is it best for us personally as a human race, as well as the planet, and considering all of their life. And then like simple things. And I know this is included in Mitchell's share, but like sanitary, like people need to be able to go to the bathroom in a way that it doesn't produce issues, and people need to be able to drink clean water, like simple stuff that you'd think we would have figured out by now, but we have put more focus on making more money than we have on quality of life for humanity. And so those are some kind of like more detailed things. And I'd say that the only way that we're going to get to that point, Mitchell brought this up, but is through education, because people won't even be able to see that it's possible to get a baseline for humanity unless they're educated. And then after you can even see it's possible, then we have to go through and build the systems and implement. And so it's like that baseline understanding of like, this is possible and this is what's necessary and this is common sense. And then going and people being educated enough to create the systems necessary to produce this baseline for humanity and the world, right? Like systems where we're cleaning up the oceans and not taking away all the rainforests and all this stuff. It's like living symbiotically with all of life instead of parasitically.
Yeah, like I just looked it up. So over 2.2 billion people in the world still don't have access to clean drinking water. And even in the US, Apparently, because we're so advanced, right? We still have over 2 million people who don't have access to clean drinking water in the United States. And it's just like, and then you look at how many people are just like playing video games all day. Like grown men that could totally go and build and provide and like build the infrastructure and work on that. And then they spend all day like watching porn and playing video games.
And
Like
the
a
thing
grown-up
is, like,
child.
they could choose what they want to do to contribute to the system. It's not like you're forcing them. Like they can choose whatever they would be good at, you know, whatever they enjoy, and they just go do it. But instead they're participating in this virtual reality that's not actually going to build anything in physical reality. And that's not to say that there's no benefit from this virtual world that we're creating. Like, I'm sure down the road there's going to be lots of benefit, but if people are just distracting themselves in alternate reality and just neglecting the abuse going on in physical reality, it's not best for them to be doing that.
And already, I mean, now they're already distracted with social media and porn and video games. Imagine when the metaverse comes, they're even more distracted with that, right? The more dopamine hits, and it's even more exciting for them. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like if you look at all the issues that are happening in the world, really it all just goes back to education. Because if people have like some kind of chronic illness, well, you just have to be educated on what is producing that chronic illness, you know, at a base level. Same with water. Okay, well, say your village doesn't have water wherever you live. Well, let's get you educated. How can you find wells? How can you build a well? How can you, you know, like all these different things where it's like everything is just based on education. And so us as humanity are not well educated. Like, if you look at the percentage of people that literally are illiterate, like they cannot read, they wouldn't be able to read road signs or pill bottles, like literally illiterate. It's absurd. In the United States alone, there's millions of adults who cannot read.
I looked it up. 130 million adult Americans are unable to read at a simple level. That means they can't even read like the instructions on like a pill bottle or traffic signs. They can't even read that. 130 million. Dr. Phil was on Joe Rogan and stated this openly.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, okay, how are those people supposed to vote and know who to vote for and like how are they supposed to even understand that? How are they supposed to even do simple tasks like baking or making recipes? You have to read a recipe in order to make it. So all of those people are probably eating fast food or microwave food or whatever, where they don't have to read to make it. And that's not conducive to their physical body being nourished properly. And so it's like, it's just a plethora of issues that are all derived from their inability to simply read and have a proper education. And so it's like, us as a whole humanity can't go to the next level until we all have a baseline education, until we can all even simply read. Like, you don't even have to learn anything beyond that for the next step. Like, we'll have the select people that know beyond that, but in order for humanity to just understand, like, hey, it's possible for all of us to have our basic needs met. Like, we all literally need to be literate. Like, let's start there. Let's get the world to be at least baseline literate.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's what Kevin Trudeau said too. I wasn't even aware that this is the case. It was like everybody can read, right? But it's actually not true. No.
Like it's so fascinating. One of my friends and colleagues gave me this example with reading, how it's like people tend to think, oh yeah, I can read, you know, because they read some book or some magazine or whatever. But that would be like, okay, if you were saying like I can read, compare that to like how like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates can read. And these guys spend like 5-6 hours a day reading, and they're billionaires. Like, they're making huge decisions that affect tons and tons of people. That would be like if you're in a swimming pool next to like Michael Phelps, you know, world-class, 8-time gold medalist swimmer. and you're like, hey, Michael, I can swim. And he looks at you, he's like, haha, yeah, buddy, you can swim. And then he like shows you how to actually swim.
Mhm.
That's like the average human going, oh yeah, I can read. I'm smart. It's like the same thing with how you would swim compared to Michael Phelps. It's like
Well, and
we are
it's
really
like
missing it.
even the people that can actually read compared to those that are illiterate, right? They're at a really low reading level. Like you look at for example, what we're doing with TechnoTutor, we've got kids who've been using TechnoTutor from a very young age, and they read novels in a day at younger than 10 years old, reading full novels in a day. Like that is reading one page so fucking fast, like way faster than the average person. And they're comprehending all of it. Like they're able to share all the details of the story with you. And it's like the average person is at like a third grade reading level. Like it takes them like 2 weeks to even more to read novels like that. You know what I mean? And it's like people, they literally don't understand how illiterate they are and how really they're not really able to read properly because it's become normal for people to read at that rate. It's become normal to read a paragraph and think, what did I just read? And have to go back and reread it. Like that's normal when it shouldn't be. Like you should be able to read something once and know and comprehend all of it. But society has just accepted that it's okay to literally not know how to read.
Mhm. And I guess it's also the concentration level and focus, right? That people are so distracted now. So I think that's also a big part. So you cannot focus actually on your dreams, on a vision, because your mind is distracted all the time. It's like, yeah, you don't have any focus.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge factor that we're dealing with is the attention span. With social media, they've just literally programmed us to have like 10-second attention spans, even less sometimes. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And how are you dealing with that personally? Or you're like just like blending it out, or
You're asking like how do we work on like our attention span, our ability to focus?
yeah, with social media, and because we are all kind of involved with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm on social media for a purpose. My purpose is to connect with people, get a message out there and use it, because social media isn't necessarily bad. TikTok isn't necessarily bad. It's just a certain vehicle by which you can get a message to people and connect with people. So that's what I use it for. I still will have times though where I'll go through Facebook and I'll go on there because I know I need to respond to somebody, but then I'll get on Facebook and all of a sudden I start scrolling and I'm like leaving a comment back for someone. I'm like, oh, hold on, okay, and then recorrect myself.
Yeah.
So, and then it just in those moments, it's being able to just forgive yourself, give yourself some grace, and then reapply yourself. And it's like we're all learning. I mean, we've evolved for thousands and thousands of years without a smartphone. And now we got the smartphone that's just designed to spike your dopamine. So it's a process. But yeah, it's like some people will do a big detox, dopamine detox or whatever, and then they put their phone away for weeks or whatever. But it's like back to the original point of like, we don't necessarily have a lot of time to just like waste. It's like I'm on social media for a reason, or some people even will say stuff like, okay, like coffee. This is another thing where people are like, oh, I don't drink coffee because it's this and it's not good for you, whatever. But it's like, I'll enjoy a cup of coffee or two per day because I'm aware enough of my body, how I respond to it, and I see that it's actually supportive. I'm aware of how I use social media and it's actually supportive. It takes a lot of self-honesty. Yeah.
The big thing for me is intention. Like I've created a system for myself where I literally tell myself before I open the app why I'm going on.
I love that. Yeah.
So it's like, even if you have to say it out loud, you just say, I'm going on Facebook to check on these posts and see if I can add value on them, or I'm going on Facebook to make a post, and it's like I plan my post before I go on to the app itself. Like I'll think of, oh, I want to use this picture and I want to say this and I'm going to do that, or I want to make a live and I want to do this, but all of that is planned before I go on the app. So then when I go on the app, and if I catch myself not doing the thing I said I was going to do, then I just know, easy, you just get off. because guess what? Social media isn't so vital that you like have to be on at any given point. Like if I'm not commenting or I'm not answering people, they understand because it's social media. Like if they had your direct phone number and they were calling you, that would be different. That's very different than a post that you haven't commented on, right? So it's like it's not emergent. So if in a given moment I realize I'm not doing what I intended to do, I literally just close the app. And like I like not only just close the app, like take it off of the little the feed you have on your phone of the recent, like just close it completely. And then I'm not getting, and I don't have any notifications from any social media on my phone. Like the only notifications I get on my phone are actual phone text messages or calls. So it's very easy for me to not be on social media, or to be on when it's like be directed use, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how I go about social media.
I love the intention. It's very powerful because it's actually, yeah, it's all about the intention, because you can sit in front of your computer, answer like 10 messages with the intention, I'm going to do that. And then you really focus, but you can go to the computer and just, without the intention, and then you get distracted very fast, right? So I love the
Definitely.
intention. Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
I actually bought like a little thing where you can put in your phone and put a timer. For example, you can make like 4 hours, and then you cannot open it anymore. And
That's great. That's
I
great.
tried that, and it works quite well. Yeah, it's because you can literally not. I had it once that I forgot I have an appointment, and then I needed to go with the train to another place where I was never before, and then I needed to go there without the phone, and it was so weird because I used the phone for everything, right? Getting the ticket and the maps.
Yeah.
But everything worked perfectly without the phone, without the maps. I found everything. So, and I was more present as well. So it was it was actually fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Also,
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of what everything is grounded in with what we're doing is intention beyond just social media use. It's like our day to day, like how are you using each moment of the day, and what you're doing, what is it creating? Like, is it aligned with the purpose we're wanting to build and live out, or is it just like a waste of time? And so it's really, that's like probably one of the biggest words that we live is intention. And that's all based on what Mitchell and I have discussed that we want to create, like an agreement that we live by of like, this is what we agree that we're going to build. These are the principles we agree to. It's like having that clear communication so that you have it all mapped out for you. So you can be honest if you're living it out or not. It's very obvious. But if you have it all just an idea in your mind and you haven't actually planned it out, like said it out loud or wrote it out, like how can you keep yourself held accountable to that plan or that purpose or that intention if you actually haven't made it very obvious to yourself what it looks like on a day-to-day basis to live out that intention? And so I'd say that's been the most fruitful, biggest thing that Mitchell and I have implemented as far as what we're creating in our dreams and everything, is making it a very practical intention. And that way we can practically check in with ourselves and with each other on whether we're living that out on a day-to-day basis to create what we've envisioned to create.
Powerful. I love it. I can also see it in the way you talk, both of you. It's very, very clear, directed. It's you basically know it, right? There's clarity, there's no confusion anymore. And it's powerful.
yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Should we do you want to add anything more? I mean, I know we don't have so much time with Mitchell, but
Yeah, that was the last thing that I really wanted to add. Mitchell, is there anything else you feel like you need to add?
I mean, just an invitation to, like, through everything we do, whoever hears this or sees what you create with this, Oliver, and your artwork and all of that, like an invitation, because in life it's so easy for us to just stay stuck in our zone. We're like, yeah, I'm just going through life though, and you're like not actually participating. And sometimes that step, like the first time I ever went to a gin event, or the first time I ever learned about Kevin Trudeau, it was because there was part of me that was like, I gotta go actually talk to these people. Like I gotta go communicate. I gotta go put myself out of my comfort zone. It's how I met Jessica as well. Like it was just me taking that step to say, I'm gonna go talk to these people, see if I can add any value and just learn from them. And that created then the relationships. And then as those relationships are built, then you can build on top of that. And so that is just, I would say, a good point for us to wrap up at least this part of the conversation with is an invitation for the people who can hear this or see this or resonate with this to just say, hey, let's connect. Let's just have a real conversation and let's see what we can build together.
And okay, the one word came up for me as you were saying that, Mitchell. Is fun. It's fun to live with intention because you get so much more done and you create so much for yourself. You get to have so much more fun because if you're just living in delusion and lack and illiteracy and all these points, it's like you
social
can't
media.
You can't have fun. You literally aren't able to have as much fun because you aren't participating in physical reality to the degree that the people who are actually building things are. And the people who are actually building things in reality are having the most fun. And so I'm going to say that's the last thing I just thought of is that we're having a lot of fun building an empire together.
Cool. Fun is important. Exactly. I love it. Okay. And also like the thing building an empire together. That's also powerful.
Yeah.
Good. So yeah, how does your vision make you feel?
Unstoppable. We know it's inevitable. It's just how long are we going to have it take? Yeah.
That's great. I would say fearless. And empowered. And certain. So motivated isn't the word I'm looking for, but it's something like that, where it's like inspired. Maybe that's a better word for it. Yeah, that's good. And those are pretty good words. Oh, I'd say creative. Creative is a good one too. Definitely. And yeah. Oh, I know I said empowered, and that is relevant and good, yes, but also powerful. And those are two very different words, even though they sound very similar. But I'd say those two are really good.
Goes together.
Empowered and powerful, yeah.
Unstoppable as well, right? It's like you're strong.
Yeah.
That's why with you I say all the time when you finish a sentence, I'm like powerful. I feel the power.
Yes, I love
yeah. Cool.
Our dogs are here.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Oh, two.
Yes.
Big family.
Yes.
Nice. And would you say this vision is worth living for?
100%.
The
Absolutely.
only thing worth living for is that
because we're all part of it. Okay. There's a really cool quote by Heraclitus, and he's like a Greek philosopher, and it's that the dreamer is asleep in their own world, whereas those who are awake, we all share the world. It's like the exact quote, you can find it, but it's the Heraclitus quote about the dreamer and the one who is awake. And for the people who are awake, they realize we're all in this world together. We're all either going to collectively create hell on earth, like we have been, where there's a risk of world wars and poverty and starvation and famine, and even ourselves not being fully happy. But then also we can all wake up and we can realize, hey, let's really have heaven on earth and let's make it real. And so that quote encapsulates a lot of what we're about.
If there are people suffering in the world, then you will never be able to be truly, fully happy because you know deep down somebody is suffering. But if we as a whole can all be good and have a baseline taken care of, we will experience happiness in a way that we have never experienced happiness before. So it is the only thing worth living for.
Beautiful said, yeah. So true. So true. Powerful. Again. And now this is fun. Like, how would you, let's say you both, you created this vision and you did everything you said, right? And now you're writing a book because you want to leave something behind and inspire people with your story. So the book is more like kind of a story, but where you also share your wisdom, and it describes this amazing life you lived and the impact you created. And yeah, now you look for a title. How would you call this book? What would be the title for it?
Good question.
How to create power, or how to live power, I don't know, you got me on this word, Oliver. I love the word powerful.
We call it the real 48 laws of power.
Oh, nice.
I would just say, what is life about? Question mark. So it'd be a question. What is life really about? Question mark. That's what I think I would name the book.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And one of the chapters would be named power.
Of course.